Hello everyone, my name is Alicia and I am here today to talk to you about a case study that I've been working on. This is about a second grade teacher named Miss Susan and a very outgoing little boy named Gabriel. Miss Susan was a second grade teacher. She had a very oriented room, very strict, very rule-oriented room with no disruptions from any other children. Miss Susan had a hard first year as a teacher in the second grade classroom, but as she's grown with her students, she's also learned how to implement rules and structure and standards in the room. Well, one year she got a little boy named Gabe. Gabe was a Latino boy, very rambunctious, very outgoing, very gotta go. Most normal boys are. But what Miss Susan learned about Gabe is that Gabe had some attention issues with wanting to stay on task. Also with wanting to be able to complete his tasks and be able to understand his tasks. As Miss Susan realized that Gabriel was having problems staying in his seat, fidgeting with his pencils, or going to sharpen his pencils, she realized that there was maybe something else going on with Gabriel. As she watched Gabriel as they got ready to go for recess, Gabriel would be the first child on the playground. He would always coordinate with the games, kickball, basketball, dodgeball. But he was also lagging in the last one to come in. Miss Susan always had to ask for him to come in more than once. And when he did run to the classroom to be the first one in, he would always have to be the first in line to make sure that he was the first one in. Back in the classroom, Gabriel also showed signs of wanting to say that he was, you could say, bored in the classroom as well. He always had to fidget with things in his desk where he would go get up to the pencil sharpener. But the more she got to watching Gabriel, she learned that Gabriel would work on his assignments, but then yet he wouldn't work on his assignments. He would start and then he would drift from one thing to the next to the next. Well, as Miss Susan realized that there may be something underlining going on with Gabriel. So Miss Susan asked the special education teacher to come in one day with the classroom just to observe Gabriel, to see what her thoughts and her opinions about the child would be. As she learned and watched Gabriel from the back of the room, trying not to be obvious that she was actually watching Gabriel in the room, Gabe noticed the special education teacher. He also wanted to make sure that she noticed that he was in the room too. At the end of the day, she understood, she saw what Gabe was doing, she understood what Miss Susan was talking about when she said Gabe's task-oriented is not structured. So they both decided it was time to meet with the principal and Gabe's parents as well. Gabe's parents came in, they did a conference with the special education teacher. Gabe's dad was a very strong-headed, hard-willed man. Gabe was the oldest of 3 brothers and 1 sister. Gabe's father just took his hyperness and his gotta-go feelings as just needed to be a busy child. His father also known that Gabe liked to take things apart in the garage. He also liked to tinker with things. But as they got to understand more, the special education teacher asked Gabe's mom, did he ever have trouble at home with working on schoolwork, completing schoolwork, or just not focusing in it? Gabe's mom replied that she did understand that he was having trouble at home. And sometimes he would bring homework home and sometimes he wouldn't. At that point, both parents realized that maybe there is something going on with Gabe. But Gabe's father just still wasn't convinced enough that it was something medically wrong with him. He thought, well, maybe he could punish him and make him realize that, good behavior gets you good consequences, bad behavior gets you bad consequences. But little did Gabe's father know is that Gabe couldn't help from what was going on with him inside. Gabe has a condition that they would like to call ADHD. ADHD in children is very misdiagnosed in a lot of children. And a lot of people don't realize that the children that are actually hyper, can't sit still, can't be task oriented, can't sit around or complete their tasks, it's not because they don't want to, it's because they can't. They don't understand how to control themselves. So when we have teachers and special education teachers, they're actually stepping out and stepping up to help the children understand, to make a work schedule for them and an understanding of what's going on with the child, and also combining with the parents, a medical diagnosis, and even their child's pediatrician can also become a force to reckon with this. When that happens, the child can get on a learning education program that actually helps the child learn to cope with time management, understand what he needs to do, how the child needs to perform within the day. A little extra help never hurt anyone, but giving these children a bad rap just because you don't want to take the time to understand a child that has some disability, such as ADHD, which is not a great thing to call it a disability, but it is. A lot of children are getting mislabeled, misdiagnosed, and misunderstood. If we all just took a little extra time, maybe step back and looked and really think, what's going on with this child? Like Miss Susan and the speech therapist did with Gabe, a lot more children would be less misunderstood and more understood about the way things work. I greatly appreciate you listening to my speech about ADHD with Miss Susan, the second grade teacher, and the little boy named Gabe. Thank you.